And just like that. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for those of you tuning into our live stream. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jason Levine, and as I always say for this coveted 10 a.m. slot, first presentation of NAB 2018, thank you and you for coming. And you, several. In any case, again, my name is Jason Levine, Principal Worldwide Evangelist for Adobe Creative Cloud, focusing on digital video and audio. And for the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to be talking to you about some of the new features in Creative Cloud, specifically focusing on Premiere Pro, a couple of great new innovations in Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Audition as well. And we're going to start in Premiere by talking about some of the new color workflows that we're introducing here, and also some additional new views and ways to work with color and additional elements directly inside of the program monitor. So what we're looking at here is a piece of footage that obviously is ungraded, and I want to add a LUT to this, and I want to do a little bit of a sort of side-by-side comparison. So now if you look into the program monitor, what you'll see, I'll zoom in here for you, is that we have a new button here called the Comparison View. So if I click on Comparison View, this is going to give us a little bit of a side-by-side. Now inside the Comparison View, you have the ability to do a shot comparison. Now this is what you would use if you're trying to grade or match two shots over time. Or you can do just a static, momentary frame comparison. So that's what I want to do here. I'm going to go into frame comparison mode. And when I do that, you'll see that it now shows me the states of before and after, all right? And we've also got a little operation down here which allows us to swap the sides. You can have after on the left, before on the right, et cetera, et cetera. So with that frame selected, I'm going to go up to our basic corrections panel inside the Lumetri color panel here. Go into our input LUTs. Now this happened to have been shot on a Sony FS7. I've got the appropriate input LUT that I need for that. Go ahead and add that in here and immediately bring some of our color back in. And I can do just a really quick sort of grade just to kind of treat this a little bit. Maybe adjust the temperature, warm this up ever so slightly. Maybe even push the highlights a little bit, drop the contrast, okay? And very quickly, just a very simple frame comparison, momentary frame comparison like that. Okay. Well, we have, this whole interview was actually shot across 3 different cameras. So now I actually want to do a shot comparison to match all the different cameras. We've got a mixture of FS7, we've got some 8K red shot on the weapon, and it's either Sony A7 flavor or some other flavor of 4K. So let's take a quick look at this and see what we've got in the timeline here, and kind of take a look at these various shots, and you'll see some are a bit warm, some are a bit cool, and then at the end, we've got our red clip, which is kind of our hero color correction. Take a quick look at this.
All you can do is be a part of that energy and just take a little bit of that energy to move you forward in your own life.
Okay. So here at the red marker, this is what we're considering our sort of hero color correction. This is what we want to match all those other cameras to. And if we take a look at this shot here, this one again is a bit too warm. And if we take a look at this shot here, this one is a little bit cool. So perhaps let's start by sort of matching this slightly warm shot. We're going to go back into comparison view. And now I'm going to go into the shot comparison mode, where we have our reference on the left and our current frame, wherever our current time indicator is, on the right. Now you've also got a scrubber in here, so the actual frame that I wanted to match, approximately right around here, there it is at 1316. Okay, so now this is going to introduce a new feature that's part of our Color Wheels tab inside of Lumetri Color that is also powered by Adobe Sensei's machine learning technology. And it's a new auto match function to automatically match color, with Adobe Sensei allowing you to focus on skin tones via the face detection checkbox here. You'll also notice that you have another way via this panel to now access that same comparison view. So now, all I have to do is click on Apply Match. And again, Adobe Sensei does its thing in the background. It scans, it looks at the skin tone, it analyzes the reference, and applies those changes to the current frame. And just like that, it brings us that much closer. Now, it's not absolutely perfect, and with a lot of other NLE color match algorithms, these are kind of black boxes where you can't really modify or edit the match. Well, this is fully non-destructive and fully editable. So in this case, if I wanted to just push those midtones a little bit warmer, and I'm kind of focusing on his shirt there, just to kind of bring that in a little bit more, something like this, ever so slightly. Then I'm going to bump up those highlights, a little bit more of the magenta in there, something like that, just to get it a little bit closer. Now here inside comparison view, you'll notice that we've got a couple of different icons. We have our side-by-side, vertical split, and horizontal split. So you can imagine what these do. Now for this particular shot, the vertical split's not really going to do much, but I love the horizontal split because now what I can do is I can move this down to where his shirt is and really see like, oh yeah, this is looking very close with a single click, and it's fully editable. So auto match, leveling the power of Adobe Sensei directly inside the program monitor with a single click, fully non-destructive, something you've been asking for. We've added it for you. Now, I'm going to show a lot more of this in the Premiere Pro demos later today, but I wanted to focus on one additional element here, which is a common request of matching to either, say, a reference like your favorite movie scene, or perhaps you're downloading and leveraging Adobe stock video content, or any stock video content. Now, I like to say that one of the unique things about Adobe Stock is that, and when I talk about becoming Adobe Stock video contributors, I've talked a lot about it here at NAB, in fact, you can take your content, whether it's B-roll or anything that you shot specifically. Anyone shoot stock video here? What's up, Stan? Okay, so you can actually upload content directly from Media Encoder to Adobe Stock, and it'll actually do, via Adobe Sensei's machine learning technology, all of the keywording for you, and then you can submit that. And assuming it's accepted, your content has to be accepted, you could begin selling and ultimately monetizing your content here. We actually allow you to upload flat footage, which for video makes a lot of sense, right? Because you download, this is a great example. You shot this sunset here in Santa Cruz. I want to find a similar shot. Well, this is the closest one I could get. These are pretty far off. And if I'm not a colorist, and I'm not a colorist, I'll be completely honest with you, it would take me a very long time to match those two manually. Well, once again, leveraging this new color match technology, it's easier than ever and super flexible. Now, in this case, we don't need the face detection because there aren't any faces here. And in fact, I'm going to go, we'll do 2 shots. Let's take this one off, click on Apply Match, again, using that reference on the left, and right away, it gets us a little bit closer. Now, remember, you can still go back into your basic corrections. So I can warm this up a bit more, maybe add a little bit of contrast, go back into our color wheels, push those midtones a little bit more, maybe add a little bit more of red into the highlights, okay? And also in Lumetri Color now, you'll notice that we now have a Master Effects toggle. So directly from here, I can turn it off, before and after. You've also got a full reset directly inside of Lumetri now. Let me scroll down the timeline here and go to this shot. And I love this one because it's pretty close in terms of the sunset, but where you really see the difference is in the water, right? And again, I'm not a colorist, so I wouldn't even know really where to begin with this. Take off face detection. Let's go ahead and click on Apply Match. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those midtones and I'm going to bring more of that magenta in there, just a little bit like this. And now, when I do this horizontal view, check this out. So here's the original. Here's our stock footage. Now look at this. When I drag the horizon right about there, you can see the divider, but it looks like these could be from the same ocean, right? Look at the reflections. Look at how that water appears now. Very quickly, instantly. As a non-colorist, this is an incredible time saver for me. And of course, you can use this to reference your favorite movie looks with a single still frame. All right? And in a moment, I'm going to show you some cool things with motion graphics. And you can also use this comparison view to do before and after when you're modifying motion graphics templates. All right? So really cool color matching technology powered by Adobe Sensei. All right, skipping ahead. Now, this is something that we introduced a year ago, about a year ago, I guess, in Audition. And it was the ability to automatically duck music against dialogue. So let me play this back. This is unmixed, and we've got dialogue and music playing here. I'm going to play a little bit of this for you and take a quick listen to what we've got. Oh, and I'm going to change my workspace as well to my audio workspace. OK, here we go. Let's play this back. A little bit more video in view here. All right.
Yeah, it's weird. like I've always struggled with self-doubt. All these questions about like, are you enough? What are you going to do with your life?
Okay, so common scenario, right? We've got dialogue, we've got music playing, and what do we do as editors? Well, we've got lots of different options. One, via the track mixer, you could enable the write mode, and you could simply ride the fader and drop the music as the dialogue comes in, kind of watching the clips over time and doing those dips. Fine. You also have the ability, of course, to come in directly to the audio track, drop in some keyframes, and draw your envelopes. Fine. All of that's fine, except that, of course, is at a time loss to you. So we introduced the Essential Sound panel into Premiere and Audition as a way to really bring all of the necessary tools, effects, and filters that an editor would need to mix sound, again, without having to be a sound professional, but giving you the same kind of professional high-end result. That isn't just marketing, by the way. I am an audio professional myself. I'd be the first to tell you if it sucked. And it doesn't. So check out how this works if you've never used it before. And now with the new feature, Auto Ducking, also powered by Adobe Sensei. I'm going to select all of my dialogue here. And in Essential Sound, what we want you to do, what we ask you to do, is to assign a specific audio type. So you're telling Premiere, what is the audio that I'm working with? So in this case, everything that I just selected there is dialogue. And when you select dialogue, what it does is it reveals to you common effects and filters that you would use to process dialogue. This includes loudness normalization, super important for broadcast. If you're wanting to match, say, to the broadcast standard of minus 23 LUFS or minus 24 LUFS, whether you're working EBU, ITU, or anywhere else in the world. You can repair all different types of things, noise, rumble, humming, sibilance. Clarity applies dynamic compression, all right? And then you have EQ and reverb, little speech enhancement, and overall clip volume. All right, so one of the first things I'll do is typically add a little bit of compression just to even out the dynamics of my voiceover. Now, I haven't done any ducking yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it back, and I'm going to drag this slider. And what you'll see here, this will allow me to go from natural to a more focused sound. Now, this is not some sort of wonky little toy compressor. In fact, what it does is it's applying our dynamics processor in the background with all of the parameters automatically learning the threshold levels, for all of you audio nerds out there, to apply compression properly. So watch what happens when we play this back and listen to what it does. All right, once again, we'll select all of our dialogue here. I can do this globally.
It's weird, like I've always struggled with self-doubt. All these questions about like, are you enough? What are you going to do with your life?
Okay. And you can see I just increased it by about 3 dB here worth of dynamic compression, and it just brought that voice a little bit more forward. But the music is still too loud. It still needs to be ducked down. So here what I'm going to do is select all of my music. And by the way, this can be on any number of tracks. We happen to have them on just individual tracks here. It's one voiceover, one music track. You can do this across multiples, and you don't have to apply these things globally. They can be applied individually. I now tell Essential Sound that this is music. And inside music, you have, again, loudness normalization. You have some stretching algorithm here. And then we have ducking. Okay? Let's go ahead and enable ducking. Now, by default, it will duck against dialogue. But again, you can duck against music, sound effects, ambience, or clips that don't have any assigned audio type. So let's say you're collaborating with someone who's maybe doing their audio post or just working in a different NLE. So they send you an AAF or an OMF or an XML. You bring in their project. Nothing is tagged. Final Cut doesn't know what our dialogue clips are. Avid doesn't know what our ambience clips are. So you can use this option if you want to. I've already denoted that everything is dialogue. And then you have 3 basic settings here. Sensitivity, which acts as your threshold, the point at which it will begin to kick in that duck. You then have the amount of reduction, how much it brings the music down. Now, 18 dB is the default. That's maybe a little aggressive. I'm going to move this to around 11. And then you have your fade time. And this is effectively the time when it kicks in the duck, how it quickly fades, ramps down the music, and then once the dialogue ceases, the time that it ramps up, okay? 800 milliseconds is the default, right? 0.8 of a second. That's pretty good. That's actually a pretty natural musical sound, fully adjustable. Once you have that set and you can use all of these with defaults, we're simply going to click Generate Keyframes. And when I do that, now what you'll see down inside the waveform, again, fully non-destructive, fully editable, is that you have all of the keyframes ramped and drawn for you based on the amplitude of all of your dialogue clips. And you can see these are fully editable too. All right? Let's undo that change. So let's go ahead and wind this back. Zoom out and play.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I've always struggled with self-doubt. All these questions about like, are you enough? What are you gonna do with your life? When I am on that seam,
I see mouths open. Your silence says it all. Auto ducking. Yes, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just making your life easier. Now, if you want to get super nerdy, you can, of course, still send this project to Audition. And for those of you who like to do sidechain ducking with your favorite VST, anybody who likes to do sidechain ducking? I see, so okay. You can still do that in Audition if you want. If you don't know what that is, it's basically this with a lot more stuff. I'm simplifying. Auto ducking, powered by Adobe Sensei. Okay? So again, a lot of work done on the audio side. Our theme this release is powerful, unstoppable together. Unstoppable together. Powerful alone, unstoppable together. It's the morning, sorry. Powerful alone, unstoppable together. And that's really what we've done, is we're bringing all these technologies together. Okay, I've got 12 more minutes. I got to show you one more thing here in Premiere Pro based around motion graphics templates. So I mentioned Adobe Stock earlier. How many of you are aware or have used motion graphics templates from Adobe Stock? Not as many hands as I'd like. That's fine. It's fairly new. So motion graphics templates are just that. Lower thirds, title sequences, credit sequences, background animations, transitional elements, animations, created either in Premiere Pro or in After Effects, fully designed and editable for the editor. So let's say that you do a show every week, or you do a vlog, or you do a commercial television program, and you always have lower thirds or animated graphics, whether it's, again, a title sequence or end credits. And as the editor, you're given these elements. Now, maybe you dynamically link them from After Effects, or maybe you render them and use them in Premiere. Well, if you need to make a change, you need to change text, or you need to change color, or you need to change a background element, that will typically mean going into After Effects. But if you're not an After Effects expert or a common user, especially if they're fairly complex animations, searching for a text layer if things are, nested can take a lot of time. You might not know what to do. It could be, you could break the animation. So we wanted to eliminate that pain by giving the power and flexibility that the motion designer chooses to allow the editors to make really quick changes right inside of Premiere without going to After Effects. So what we have here inside of this timeline are 3 templates that were built in After Effects for us. I'm going to play these back just real quickly.
that seam
You can see what they look like here.
between society.
All right, so we've got this one. These are all the same.
We
Just
yearn
with different
we
text in
yearn to be tested, and
All right. Okay, so I want to add one more of those here. So now in Essential Graphics, we've done a nice cleanup of the user interface. And again, I'll talk more about this in our Premiere demo later today. You've got different ways that you can sort. Again, these can be stored in your libraries. They can be stored locally on your system. They can be exported just as what we call mogrt files, so that they're very easy to share. Right? Your motion designer can create this file, give it to you. It's archived. You have the hard file that has that animation in it. So I happen to have a couple that I've favorited or starred, and I can search by star ratings here, and I can see them directly inside of Adobe Stock. So I'm going to go ahead and drag these. I'm going to drag this one down into my timeline right here. Give it a second to load in. And when I click on that, oh, I already put it in there for you. Haha. Get rid of that. When I click on this, now you can see all of the editable fields that our motion designer gave us. So we have our text, our position, scale, and that edge wipe rotation, wipe controls, and color and width, okay? So right here on screen, I'm going to type directed by, and it changes immediately. The director here is Brian Rawlis of The Scene Between. I'm going to change the position as well. We want this kind of in the bottom right corner. And that edge wipe, I also want that to kind of follow the tide right there. So I'm going to twirl this like that. And again, it's all real time. Wind back, hit play. Super sweet, right? Cool. Okay. Fully editable motion graphics template. Imagine if you had to go into After Effects and do all that. I mean, I use After Effects, I'd be okay, but that doesn't mean I'd very easily find out, oh, where's that edge wipe rotation? That's probably in some nested comp and a nested something else. Here, it's right in front of your face. Now, one technology that we did sort of borrow from After Effects and a common workflow for something like this is, so you showed this to the director and they say, yes, we love all the modifications that you made, but we've decided on a different font, a different typeface for this. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could just replace the template, keep all the changes we just made, but just use a modified version of the template with this new font? Well, borrowing a feature from After Effects using the Alt or Option key, we're now introducing Smart Replace for motion graphics templates. So I have this same template here with a modified font. I can hold down my Alt or Option key, and I can now drag this over top of the existing one. Hold on, let me try that again. Drag it on here. And when I do that, you'll see it says, do you want to replace all instances of this graphic in all sequences? And the answer is yes. And when I do that, now you'll see it's gone into this script font. Here, in the one that we just created, notice our changes are still there, right? The edge seam following the ocean. Go back to the original ones here.
Seam between.
Again, font change, font change, font change, okay? So Smart Replace for motion graphics templates, authored in After Effects, used inside of Premiere, fully non-destructive, editable, and accessible through Adobe Stock. And you can now search directly on content for Adobe Stock, including the ability to have previews of what those motion graphics templates look like right inside of Premiere. You'll notice there's also a little info icon here. If you go into info, again, I'm just using hover scrub. So this shows you exactly what this template is, whether it's free or premium, how long it is, how large it is, what it is that you're getting and what's involved, and then keywords to search on other like templates. And we have thousands and thousands of these, adding more every day to Adobe Stock. So if you're looking for lower thirds, you're looking for transitional graphical elements, and you don't want to pay for them right away, you can search on free ones, right? And you can just type in like the letter A, and it's going to show you literally hundreds and hundreds of incredible free ones. And I like to point this out because this one here, which is super cool, this one that says the future right here, this is actually created by none other than Video Copilot. You know Video Copilot? Andrew Kramer, he's going to be here later today. So he too has not only contributed his After Effects mastery to motion graphics templates, he even gave you some of them for free. You can get these right now inside of Premiere Pro, which is super awesome. All right? Okay. So my last 3 minutes here, a little bit more on motion graphics templates and the Essential Graphics panel. So now if you're authoring motion graphics in After Effects, previously the Essential Graphics panel was really for designing and exporting templates to be used in Premiere. Now, however, we've added this master composition concept to the Essential Graphics panel, which basically allows you to take a lot of the common functions and properties and parameters that as you're designing a template or any kind of motion graphic in After Effects, you can simply drag and drop into the Essential Graphics panel and modify very quickly without having to scroll through hundreds of layers or hundreds of properties. So here we have this very basic master credit motion graphic. And inside of the Essential Graphics panel, if I click on Solo Supported Properties, this will now show me down in the comp panel all of the things that I can drag in. Now, for those of you who used this in the previous release, you know that if you wanted to do 2D position, scale, or rotation, you actually had to do that via an expression and a slider. Now, if you notice, by the way, in Premiere, when I was modifying those very same things, we actually have the proper XY coordinates, just as they're displayed in After Effects. So you now have instantly drag and droppable position, which we can just take right here and drag it into the Essential Graphics panel. So I can say master position, okay, scale, and rotation. Again, drag these right in to our Essential Graphics panel. Let's just take a rotation one here. Again, very easily. Now, for the sake of time, as I mentioned, let's say you don't even plan on making a template, but you just want quick access to things as you're designing. So here's another variation of that same template. Well, take a look at all the parameters that I have here. As I scrub through this, you're actually seeing the sliders moving. It's showing you all of the parameters and the animation that's happening on them in real time inside the Essential Graphics panel, which means that if you want, you can actually modify directly inside the Essential Graphics panel, or you can leverage a new function called Master Properties, because this is our master comp, right? This has all the functions that we want to use, but this will probably be nested in something else that has a background and more elements. So here is the finished version of this. And you'll notice if we look at our master title, we have this new layer here called Master Properties. And under Master Properties, we now can see all of these elements here. What this means is that you can now take that master comp and you can bring it into another nested comp and make iterations, make changes without ever affecting that master. What do I mean by that? Well, we don't have the ability at this very moment to edit that text. So let's say I wanted to add text to this. Well, I can go into our master title here. Here's our text layers. I'm simply going to take the text and drag it in, source text, and I'm just going to add 1. And we'll drag this down here, and this will be source text 2. And when I go back into this title main comp, there it is down here. Oh, but I don't want them at the bottom. I want them to be at the top. Well, I can simply click and drag these and move their position, and watch down in the comp panel, their positions change. Okay? And what if I want to edit that text? It should say a seam between. I can say edit value, a seam between, and it changes here in this instance, but it hasn't modified that original master composition. So this is a great, efficient way to work to, again, re-leverage things that you have in a nested environment without getting lost searching for parameters, editing them very quickly and easily. All right? And the very last thing I'll show you here, before I send it off to Rick, who can go long, as I mentioned, is now the ability in Audition, if you're working with audio, doing audio post. Again, we used to use a dynamic link workflow to bring your projects directly into Audition. Now, via the media browser or import, I can take my Premiere Pro project, drag it right into the editor multi-track, bring in my Premiere Pro project, choose the sequence that I want. I've got to relink one little file here. Let's go ahead and link that. It's looking for my WAV file here. Go ahead and grab it like this. Click Open. OK. And now I can start working. I don't even have to have Premiere Pro running. So you can import the Premiere Pro project with all of the video, 8K, red content, everything that we have, all your sound design, anything that you did with Essential Sound, all the auto ducking, all non-destructively comes over, all your color correction non-destructively comes over, and you can finish your project here. We've also got a new spot clip spotting option here. So if you're doing sound design and you want to match a particular hit against a particular frame in the video, which, by the way, if we right-click here and turn on our timecode overlay, you'll notice that we have all different types of timecode options. We can resize this. we can adjust the background, opacity, we can adjust the position of timecode, we can reference session or media timecode, and this can all be done directly inside of Audition to now truly become an audio finishing application, export directly to Media Encoder, and finish your project. My friends, there's so much more to show you. Stick around. We've got a million presentations over the next couple days. Thank you so much for joining us at NAB Day 1. Up next, we've got Rick, who's going to be talking about stock footage filming around the world. Thank you, and I will see you again later today. Thanks, everybody.